What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing, back at you again. Today's topic: why did Maurice Hooker lose to Jose Ramirez? And can he win against the young phenom Vergil Ortiz? Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before riches, huh? That life before riches, huh? Pretty bitch, show me titties, huh? And I got the glazzy run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, let's talk some boxing today. All right, so you know there's an up-and-coming fight, Maurice Hooker versus Vergil Ortiz. Should be a great fight. Okay. There's a couple of advantages that each guy has coming into the fight. Okay. Vergil Ortiz is younger. He's a young kid, up and coming, 22 years old, I believe. So he should be hungry. You know, he's young, he's hungry, and he's trying to make a name for himself out there in the boxing world. Then we have Maurice Hooker. He's I believe 31 years old, and he has the experience. You know, he's been in there some tough fights already, so he should be able to use his experience to his advantage. So both of these guys have advantages coming into the ring. Okay. Now, who's gonna win? That's the question. Okay, will the experienced Maurice Hooker win against the young, I wouldn't say inexperienced, but Vergil Ortiz hasn't really fought anyone, I'll say a high caliber or elite fighter or close to elite fighter. I don't think. And I think that Hooker is probably the closest he's gonna get to that in this fight. Okay, so who's gonna win this fight? Well, I mean, you can make an argument for both guys. Okay, but I'm thinking that depending on what strategy is used, Hooker should win this fight because not only does he have the experience, he has certain physical advantages as well, like reach, okay, height, and so forth. So, not to say that he's gonna win the fight, but I'm just comparing advantages. Okay. Now, in the last fight that of note that we saw Maurice Hooker in, that was a fight against Jose Ramirez, and that was an interesting fight. I thought that from looking at that fight, I saw certain things in there, that Maurice Hooker was doing that didn't work to his advantage, and hopefully he doesn't repeat them in this fight as well with Ortiz, because if he does, then he's gonna be guaranteed to lose the fight, just like he did against Ramirez, a fight that I thought he should have won, that he could have won, and that he should have won. Okay, because again, he had the advantages in that fight as well in terms of height, reach, and but the problem was that he didn't use them to his advantage. I think the main problem for Hooker in that fight was the fact that he kept getting into exchanges with Jose Ramirez. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting into exchanges with another fighter. I mean, that's what boxing's about, right? So, yeah, you can get into exchanges, but the problem with Hooker was that he was getting into exchanges on Ramirez's terms, okay? He wasn't getting to exchanges on his terms, and that's a problem, okay? And I would think that in almost every exchange, he was getting to the exchanges on Ramirez's terms instead of on his terms. Well, what I mean by that is that, as a boxer, you have to go out there and set the pace for the fight, okay? In other words, not only do you have to, you have to fight on your terms, not on the other person's terms. Okay, so you have to try to do that at least. You know, sometimes maybe you can't do it, but I've seen a couple of fights with Hooker, and it seems that's how he, you know, that's what he does. He goes out there and he usually fights on the other person's terms, you know, which is not a good thing to do. So I thought in the Ramirez fight that you know, he kept getting into exchanges with Ramirez, you know, at Ramirez's choosing. Okay, you know, he would do it when Ramirez wanted to do it, not when he wanted to do it. And also the pace of the fight, you know, he didn't set the pace of the fight. You know, he fought at you know, Ramirez's pace. Okay, and he did the same thing in that fight with Flanagan in, you know, in the UK. Yeah, I think it was in the UK, somewhere in Europe. But anyway, to me, that's those things he had to stop, you know, if he's gonna win this fight with Ortiz, you know, because I thought he hurt Ramirez a couple of times, but he didn't. I don't think he knew he hurt Ortiz, but that's what his corner is for. His corner should have seen that and let him know when he's actually hurting Ortiz. But again, like I said, I mean Ramirez. But again, like I said, he was fighting on Ramirez's terms, not his own terms, and basically that's why he lost the fight. Okay, because he would get into exchanges with Ortiz, and again, you know, as a taller guy with a longer reach, an 80-inch reach almost, I believe, you need to be fighting at range, not on the inside, which was another mistake he made in that fight by too many inside in the pocket exchanges, like I said, you know, fighting in close, you know, where the other guy is basically, which is Ramirez, is basically, you know, smothering your punches because, you know, you got long arms, so it's difficult for you to fight on an inside fight with a guy who's boring in and, you know, his head coming in, and you're there trying to, you know, deliver your punches from close range when actually the best place to deliver your punches was from, you know, was at range, you know, instead of like close range, you know. So at mid range or, you know, full range. So when he did hurt Ortiz, I mean, excuse me, I keep saying Ortiz, but when he did hurt Ramirez, it was from, you know, mid range, like, you know, using his reach as advantage. He was able to hurt Ortiz a couple of times when Ortiz kept coming in on him. I mean, Ramirez kept coming in on him. So he should have kept the fight at distance, which he didn't do. And also, like I said, he should have kept the fight at his pace. He should have slowed the pace of that fight down some, okay, and pick his shots, you know, better than he did. And when he did exchange, he should have done it on his terms. And when he did exchange and he did good in exchange, he should have, you know, moved away from Ramirez, reset, and then come again. But he got into like a continuous in close exchange with Ramirez at Ramirez's choosing, because that's the way Ramirez was fighting, and he just kept doing that, and, you know, he just kept getting hit, and you know, he got hurt and ended up getting stopped. So you know, that's not the way to fight a guy like Ortiz. A guy like Ramirez, you have to slow him down, use your range, use your jab, and you know, use movement. Okay, you don't have to fight continuously the whole fight, just throwing punches after punch after punches. That's not the way you fight. If, you know, a guy like Ramirez, I mean, that's Ramirez's style. You don't have to fight. You're not supposed to fight his style. You have to fight your style, and, you know, that's why I think he lost that fight with Ramirez. And, you know, in this fight with Ortiz, he's gonna have to again fight his fight. So with a reach like a 80-inch reach, you gotta, you know, first thing is first. First thing is this: if you have a range of like 80 inches, that's a long, you know, I mean, that's a pretty good, you know, reach. A reach of 80 inches is, you know, is excellent. But especially for, you know, the weights that they're at, most of these guys at that weight doesn't have that kind of a, you know, reach. So that shows you that in that situation, if you have a reach like that, your jab is going to be very important. Okay, so, or it should be. it should be one of your main weapons, okay, with a reach like that. Especially when you're fighting guys who don't have that kind of a reach or anywhere close to it. So Hooker needs to work on his jab. That's basic boxing, okay? Meaning that not that he can't jab, but your jab should be a more of a weapon than you're using it to be at this point. It should be one of the main weapons in your arsenal. Okay? You need to hone that jab, work that jab until it gets to almost a perfect weapon. Okay? Put more effort into working your jab. Get your jab better, okay, than it is now. That jab should never be used as a rangefinder or anything like that, or just pouring out there. Anytime you let that jab go, it should be vicious. It should be hard. It should be straight, okay, every time. Because that jab, with that type of a reach, is the perfect weapon, especially at that weight class, okay? So that's the next thing. So basically what I'm saying is that Hooker needs to invest more into his jab. Okay. Now, again, which he didn't do in the Ramirez fight. Again, he didn't use that jab to his advantage. Again, because he was fighting in the pocket with Ramirez, and I'm sure that was Ramirez's strategy, because he wanted to stay away from that jab, because basically he wanted to, to make Hooker's jab not a factor in the fight, and he was able to do that. Okay, so that should never happen. Your jab, with that kind of a reach, should always be a factor in every fight that you have. And Ramirez was able to basically, disable Hooker's jab, and I'm pretty sure that Ortiz is gonna have some, a similar strategy, because that jab, if it's used effectively, can be a dangerous weapon. Okay, and I'm pretty sure, the strategy that's coming in with Ortiz and his camp is going to be, try to nullify the jab. Okay, because the jab is very noticeable, with a reach like that. So again, if Hooker is going to win this fight against Ortiz, he's going to have to use his jab. He's going to have to pick his spots, and he's going to have to set the pace of the fight. Okay, that's what he's going to have to do to win. For Ortiz, in order for him to win, he's going to have to basically fight the same fight that Jose Ramirez fought, which is nullify the jab, keep the fight in close as much as possible, keep the fight at his pace, apply constant pressure, because we see that pressure was working against Hooker in the Ramirez fight, in the sense that, again, the pace, you got to set the pace as well. So that's how Ortiz can win this fight, if he fight basically the same strategy that Ramirez fight. And, it should work if Hooker hasn't learned anything from the Ortiz fight, okay? So, that's how I see this fight, going, based on, what each guy, does in terms of strategy. So, again, I don't know if Hooker has learned anything from that last fight. I hope he did learn something. I think he should do a lot of body work, and I think he probably should. He fought at 140, so when he fought Ramirez, so this is 147, so he might be, a little stronger, which it looked to me like he needed to work on his strength in that Ramirez fight. Maybe because he was 140, he had to drain himself to be 140, and that could have been an issue, in that fight. Because with that kind of height, he needs to be at a 140, 147 as opposed to 140, and probably even 154. He can go to 160. Okay, so maybe he's stronger at 147, which I'm thinking he should be, because it looks like he was kind of draining himself to make 140. He had to, because with that kind of height, you had to be draining yourself to make 140. So, we're going to see if he's a little bit stronger in this fight. With Ortiz, I don't know. Ortiz, you know, I don't know if he's coming from the Mikey Garcia school, of which I know that's his camp, the Mikey Garcia camp. So, you know, Robert Garcia is his trainer, I believe. So, he doesn't seem to invest a lot of time in his body in terms of, you know, he looks like Mikey Garcia sometimes in there, you know, kind of soft around the middle there. You know, I don't know, you know, that's how Mikey Garcia usually fights, a little soft around the middle, but he didn't seem to do anything to affect his skill in the ring. But with a body, you know, if you're soft around the middle, I think Hooker should invest in a lot of body punching, you know, early in the fight. You know, anytime you see somebody like that, you need to invest in body punches, okay? Because, you know, that should be a strategy when somebody is like a little bit soft around the middle. I don't know if it's, you know, the fact that Ortiz is maybe not really a welterweight. You know, maybe he could make 140. I don't know, but he's up at welterweight, and you know, so it is what it is. But yeah, I'm thinking that based on his strategy, if you have the right strategy in there, I mean, if anybody has the right strategy, they're gonna win, whether it's Ortiz or whether it's Hooker. But you know, based on, you know, Hooker's last fight, he made a lot of mistakes in that last fight. Hopefully, he doesn't make the same mistakes in this fight. And if he fights a smart fight, he should be able to beat Ortiz, I would think, because he has more experience, you know, in bigger fights and with, you know, better quality opponents than Ortiz has been fighting at this point. So the advantage should go to Ortiz, I mean, to Hooker in this fight, okay? And he should win if he come in there with the right strategy. He has a lot of advantages, same like as he had against Ramirez, but again, he didn't use those advantages against Ramirez. Hopefully, he learned something. I mean, he's training with the Crawford camp now, so hopefully, he learned something and decided to use his advantages in this fight. So, you know, we'll see what happens and how it turns out. But it should be an interesting fight. I'm looking forward to it. You know, it should be a great night for boxing. I mean, we hear that Ortiz wants to fight Crawford. You know, so he's claiming that he's gonna beat Hooker and, you know, then come after Crawford. That's a pretty bold plan. So, you know, we'll see how it works out for Ortiz. But yeah, should be a great fight. Good luck to both guys. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. That's all I have for right now. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. This is TBE Boxing. I'm out.